Good evening and welcome to the weekly battle report of the LaRouche organization. Today is Wednesday, February 19th. I'm your host, Michelle Aaron. And wow, we have so many reports for you this evening of our activities around the world. We're going to start with a series of reports in the United States and in Europe on the ground, and then several international developments. Let's get going with a report from the president of the LaRouche organization, Diane Sare, from Washington, D.C., where she was organizing today in a campaign in tandem with the Doctors Against Genocide. We're going to have a statement from Diane, followed by an interview between Diane and Dr. Sperber, who's one of the doctors. He's from New York. He's with the Doctors Against Genocide. And then we're going to see a clip of the interchange, the intervention that both Diane and Dr. Sperber speak of between the Capitol Hill police and this press conference against genocide.
I'm Diane Sare, president of the LaRouche organization. As you can see, we are here in Washington, D.C. in one of the Senate office buildings. We have a delegation of over a dozen people going to various Senate offices to discuss Lyndon LaRouche's Oasis plan for a two-state solution. We chose to come this day because, as you can see, there is a large delegation of doctors here, Doctors Against Genocide, who are here to support the resolution that there should be no American troops sent to secure Gaza as property of the United States. We've had a number of very interesting meetings. We'll be visiting at least 50 Senate offices here, and there was a little bit of a kerfuffle because the doctors held a press conference in the lobby of the Hart office building to discuss the genocide currently ongoing and the attacks specifically on hospitals and healthcare workers. And the Capitol Police said that you're not allowed to do this, that this is a demonstration which might draw attention to your cause. Now, of course, if you're going to visit your senator, you're trying to draw attention to your cause. It was not a demonstration. They weren't carrying picket signs or marching around. They were holding a press conference. So we're here doing more, and please do call your senators to support Lyndon LaRouche's Oasis plan.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. So, hello, I'm Diane Sare, and in Washington, D.C. today with Dr. Sperber, fellow New Yorker, psychiatrist who has visited Gaza in the past and is here with Doctors Against Genocide. And maybe you can tell people what's been happening and what just happened, in fact.
Sure. So, what just happened is that we were holding a press conference, and a number of the doctors were waiting to address the issues that we're here about. And after two or three people spoke, Capitol Police came and said that our time was up, that we had had our time, that they considered this to be an unlawful demonstration. And they told us that we would be, if we continued to try and stay and talk, that we would be arrested.
We're committing the crime of drawing attention to your cause, I believe is what they said.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do in Washington, D.C. That's why we have elected representatives.
Right. And this is called the People's House, the Senate and the House of Representatives are the People's houses. We're supposed to be able to come to our house and to speak out. But in a country that is rapidly moving towards fascism, that's not the way it goes.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. And
Sure.
I'll just add that I'm here with the LaRouche organization circulating the Oasis plan for economic development, not as a Riviera run by the United States, but a two-state Palestine-Israel solution based on water development. We're getting a very open response, at least from some of the offices I've been to, because it's clear that what President Trump proposed simply is not workable. We don't know if it's a bluff or why he made that proposal, but it does open the door for people to consider something different and something very big, which involves water management and serious development. So thank you very much. See you soon.
He's the winner of a Nobel Peace Prize. He's the winner of a Nobel Peace Prize.
No, we're done. It's done. No, it's done. It's done. It ends here, or else we start giving warnings, and everyone that's involved here is arrested.
For shame. For shame.
Shame.
For shame.
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 Let the media capturing this.
So as you heard in the video with the Capitol Hill police, the speaker who is trying to speak when they were shut down is a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. So after being removed from the building, the Doctors Against Genocide continued their press conference outside, and we continued our organizing in the offices of Congress. The LaRouche movement has famously, historically organized on the public streets, talking to real people in real life. Let's go to a report from Florida, Texas, where we've been doing just that.
Hi, this is Kevin Pearl with the LaRouche organization from Stuart, Florida. We're just getting started today, but I wanted to give a quick report about what we encountered yesterday in Vero Beach, Florida, where we got a really explosive response to our fight both for peace and to restore America to its traditional role as a promoter of economic development and scientific progress rather than the policeman of the world. Two signs in particular we used. The first one was "Blessed are the peacemakers," with Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and Xi Jinping as a ad hoc brass band playing from the same music to create a polyphonic world, which was a lot of fun to joke with people. How do you like our brass band? Some people were complaining Trump likes to toot his own horn too much. But anyway, we got real conversations about the deeper policy, which was reflected in our other sign, Retool for Peace, which talks about taking the defense contractors and converting them for real economic development, building high-speed rail lines, expanding the space program, building water projects that would help alleviate the wildfires in Southern California or prevent the kind of fatal flooding events we had in Kentucky and Tennessee or earlier in North Carolina. People were excited about the idea of cutting the defense budgets in half and moving forward for those kinds of projects. Some of the greatest effect was had by us referencing the letter sent out by the Progressive Democrats of America to elected Democrats saying while they disagree with Donald Trump on many, many things, he must be supported in his efforts to make peace over Ukraine and to avert an escalation into nuclear war. Similarly, today, we plan on using the statements from Code Pink and Medea Benjamin, who, from the left, said if Trump succeeds in making peace with Putin, he should get the Nobel Prize. Anyway, we're having a good time down here. People are very happy to hear of our mission for the future of the United States. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin, down there in Florida. I want to underscore this development Kevin referenced from the Progressive Democrats of America, who emailed the Democratic members of Congress an email titled, "Support a negotiated solution to the war in Ukraine." This letter was signed by Medea Benjamin of Code Pink. It was signed by Jim Carpenter and Mike Caggiano, both co-founders of the Progressive Democrats of America. And they say in their letter, although the End Wars Working Group of the Progressive Democrats of America denounces Trump's call to ethnically cleanse Gaza, further militarize our border, and declare war on immigrant and trans communities, we support a dialogue with Russia to end the killing in Ukraine, cut the military budget, and reduce the risk of nuclear war. We urge you, our elected Democrats, to set aside party politics and endorse a negotiated settlement, ceasefire, and end to weapons for Ukraine. Wow. this call to put aside party politics for the pursuit of peace. So let's move forward now to some outreach to the students of America. This is at A&M University in Texas, where some activists and longer-term members set up to share with the students of America, the students on this campus, the ideas of the LaRouche movement.
So hello, everyone. We're here today at Texas A&M University here in College Station, Texas. And we're talking with young Bennett here, who'll probably be coming to this campus pretty soon. He's been helping get literature out. Tell us what's been going on here today, Bennett.
So we've been on here for a couple hours now, distributing literature regarding the Oasis plan and the BRICS, talking to people, telling them things that they're not aware of, because our education system and our media is not adequately informing people about stuff going on in the rest of the world, and that's what we're here for.
Well, I see the sign there says Aggie engineers could help build this Oasis plan. Have you been getting some interest from students on the possibility, or does the concept ring with them what we're talking about, peace through development, especially through water development?
I've started explaining to a lot of people. I try telling them, whenever you give people adequate resources, water, food, structure, infrastructure, they can live in a more prosperous place, less likely to be destitute and want to turn to terrorism and radical ideology.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, well, listen, looks like things are kind of wrapping up for the day here, right, Bennett?
It's almost 4, and it's a Friday, and it's college, so I think everyone's getting ready to go home and party.
But we got some literature on Valentine's Day, no less. Make love, make water, not war, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, thank you out there in Texas. And everyone watching here, consider going and setting up a table on a campus or somewhere and being able to talk to young people, as Bennett described. So thanks again. Now let's go to some on-the-ground organizing in Germany, where the federal elections are this weekend on the 23rd, and the BUSO party has a slate of candidates headed by Mrs. Helga Zepp-LaRouche, but also including 2 of our 3 speakers we're going to hear from, Stephan Toxdorf, and then secondly, we'll hear from Marcel, who flew all the way to Germany to help campaign. He's a New Yorker out there in Germany. And then we'll hear thirdly from Jonathan Thron, another of our candidates.
Stephan Ossenkopp, I'm a candidate for the civil rights movement Solidarity, BÜSO, in Berlin-Pankow. Today we're on the street campaigning, obviously for the BRICS and for the LaRouche solution to the international crisis. On Saturday we had a forum with BÜSO where we deliberated on LaRouche's 50-year-old proposal of the International Development Bank, and there was a lively discussion on how this would work. On Sunday, we had an international forum with the BÜSO. There were engineers and people from countries of the Middle East and Afghanistan especially. And we discussed the Oasis plan, we discussed the Operation Ibn Sina, which was proposed by Helga Zepp-LaRouche, who is of course also a candidate here in Berlin and the leader of our party list. So today I met some interesting people. I think this international perspective, the BRICS, the Global South, is something that is appealing to those who want peace. We had some polarization. Some people are still pro-war, as our government, but some people said, my husband worked in Morocco as an engineer. Somebody was married to a Cuban, and he's a big BRICS fan. So I think there's a lot of potential in certain circles and groups of the population to really bring over these ideas, get across these ideas. Thank you and see you soon.
Hello, this is Marcel, and I have been in Berlin for about 5 days now, and so far it is very interesting. In particular, speaking with the college students on college campuses. College students are, as in I think a lot of places, very confused about what their future holds. And the encouraging thing is, though, They have important ideas and they're willing to talk about things. For example, with one college student, he understood the importance of not having nuclear war, and the question for him was how to stop it, how to make sure that we have peace and security. He talked about mutually assured destruction, but then realized that given what happened, over the course of the Cuban Missile Crisis, that would not be an option. But that young people are willing to work through issues and ideas and have us help them to guide them in the present is a very, very encouraging thing. Unfortunately, there is a lot of propaganda. As we saw on Sunday, there are allegedly government-sponsored demonstrations against the AFD, which are actually extremely, extremely harsh. And so it's understandable that young people and people across Germany are confused as to what to do and how to go about doing it, which is a very important opportunity for us to work with the BRICS, to work with Trump, and to get other people in Germany as well as across the world to work with the BRICS and people who want peace through development. Thank you. This is Marcel from Berlin.
Hello, I'm Jonathan. I'm campaigning with the BÜSO. We are currently out here to organize people for Oasis plan, for peace through development, because also for Germany, our best supporters in the fight against war would be the Global South. So this is the idea that we are bringing to people. And we are getting a lot of good reactions. A lot of people are against the war. They are really happy that we're out there. We do also get many negative reactions because there's a lot of, war propaganda. And some people even get aggressive from time to time, but we are still there. Because it's so important to get this message out. And as I mentioned, many people are really happy that we are out there and thank us heartfelt gratitude. And so they need leadership. They need us to tell them, look, there's a direction, we can do it. We can stop the war. So join the campaign. Jonathan from Berlin. Goodbye.
Thank you, Stephan, Marcel, Jonathan. And a couple of the signs that were in German say, get out of NATO, sign up here. The future of Germany is the new Silk Road. And the Oasis plan for the Middle East, peace means development. So we're going to go now to a major development on the international stage, which took place in an extremely prescient dialogue of the International Peace Coalition this past Friday. The International Peace Coalition was initiated by Mrs. Helga Zepp-LaRouche. This was the 89th consecutive meeting of this grouping that by design includes people who may have very different world outlooks, but who can come together and dialogue for the purpose of peace. So first we're going to see a couple of excerpts from these are going to be from the opening of the opening comments to the dialogue. First we will hear from Helga Zepp-LaRouche. Then we will hear from our extremely special speaker at this event, Dr. Naledi Pandor, the former Minister of International Relations and Cooperation from South Africa. Dr. Pandor was the person who argued the case of South Africa in the International Criminal Court accusing Israel of genocide. That case is still proceeding today. Dr. Pandor encourages the approach of the LaRouche Oasis Plan and points to the Schiller Institute and the International Peace Coalition as the body that could possibly bring together the adults in the room.
Well, I think we are in the most dramatic change of an epoch, which is on the one side fraught with incredible dangers, and the danger of a global nuclear war is still not completely off the table. But on the other side, I think that there is absolutely hope that if we join our efforts, that we can move humanity into a better era of a new paradigm. So that means for the Middle East, which is right now the most urgent question, we should try to get the combination of an Arab peace plan as it is promoted by Egypt and other Arab countries, but with the addition that the two-state solution must include an Oasis plan, because I think that only if one has a wide development perspective for the entire Middle East, not just Israel and Palestine, but for all the countries which have been destroyed by previous interventionist wars, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, and many other countries in the region, they need urgent development. And the Oasis plan, which proposes to create new large amounts of fresh water through canals, through an irrigation system, through large amounts of ocean water to be desalinated with the help of nuclear energy as the basis for infrastructure and industrial development of this entire region, which right now is predominantly a desert. Obviously, the immediate question is that the humanitarian aid must get into Palestine, because people are dying as we speak here. And, but this whole package has to be put on the agenda as one for it to succeed.
Thank you very much for inviting me to join your deliberations. I believe that they're very important. I think the Oasis plan presents a set of very useful proposals that could be looked at by groupings that are in contention as the basis for further discussion. I also think we're in a very dangerous time because we are speaking through headlines rather than through rationality. So we need leadership. We need to find a way through the Schiller Institute of identifying who are the adults in the room, who can actually live without being on a headline every day, who is ready to engage in a serious fashion to actually settle the matters of the world. So I believe that the Schiller Institute, along with other organizations of similar strength, could begin to assume that leadership role primarily for purposes of convening, of initiating conversation, and developing an agenda.
All right, now we're going to go to two cases just in the past week of the ideas of the LaRouche movement and the Schiller Institute being put forward on other media platforms in news media. So first is an example that took place on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. Now, the most famous speech from this conference was the extremely good speech given by Vice President J.D. Vance, where he just tore into the nations of Europe on the question of the suppression of free speech, of democracy, even overturning elections if the reigning elite didn't like the results of those elections. So as it was a very good speech, it rocked people back on their heels. We will certainly need to hold the administration to this standard of free speech on all issues. So also at the Munich Security Conference, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi made remarks where he discussed the future of a multipolar world, where the foreign minister said that multipolarity should not become a way for some nations to oppress others. And so our Werner Zuse, a founding member of the Schiller Institute, was asked on a television program called The World Today to comment on how this could happen. How could the world order be moved forward to become a more just and reasonable direction.
Wang Yi says China has been advocating equal treatment among countries, respecting international rule of law, and practicing multilateralism.
中国，我们是在现行国际秩序中发展起来的。
China is a beneficiary of the existing order, so what China is doing or will do is move the order to a more just and reasonable direction to meet most countries' expectations.
One way to do that, according to an expert in Munich, is to seek common development.
And especially he mentioned that the Belt and Road Initiative and the Global Gateway Initiative of Europe should collaborate. And this is our approach, to have triangular trade and collaboration from Europe and China to develop, for example, Africa or the Middle East to have development.
Multipolarization is indeed the theme of this year's Munich Security Conference.
The outlook of the Schiller-Institut was also sought this morning, where the TASS news agency interviewed Helga Zepp-LaRouche on the dialogue taking place in Riyadh between Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister of the Russian Federation, and Marco Rubio, United States Secretary of State, on the question of peace in Ukraine. TASS covered this interview in an article entitled U.S.-Russia Negotiations to Help Create Inclusive Security Architecture, says expert. And a little bit from this article, Helga says, the outcome of this long-awaited meeting between the high-ranking delegations from Russia and the U.S. represents a relief for the entire world. The pathway laid out how to approach all problems on the table by taking into account the interests of all sides is very helpful. This was a game-changer moment in history and hopefully a first step towards an all-inclusive security and development architecture which overcomes the disease of geopolitics forever. So we have one more intervention by the LaRouche movement, which took place on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, where there was a large peace demonstration called Munich Stand Up, or München steht auf. And at this demonstration, there were many speakers before they did a march around the city. Among the speakers was what we're going to play a little bit from you today, were the participation of Helga Zepp-LaRouche of the Schiller-Institut and our good collaborators, Ray McGovern and Scott Ritter. We have connected via Zoom international guests, and I have the honor of being able to ask them 3 questions in a short discussion with people who are actually in America resisting the war, because we are an international demonstration and we are not alone. We are the ones who often point in the direction of America and criticize America, but of course we work together with the people who are on the side of the majority for peace. We have now
Ray McGovern, Scott Ritter und Helga Zepp-LaRouche vom Schiller-Institut. Ich glaube, ihr könnt sie auf der Leinwand sehen, oder? Finde ich großartig.
Okay, well, thank you very much for inviting me to speak here. It's an honor and a privilege to talk to you. I'll keep the answer short. Is it possible for Russia and Germany to cooperate together? Absolutely. History has shown this. What you have right now in Germany is a political problem, a political crisis. But politics comes and goes. What doesn't change is the geopolitical reality that Germany and Russia are neighbors in the European continent. And you will always be neighbors with Russia, which means you will always have to find a way to live together with Russia, preferably in peace. And I am optimistic that Germany will resolve the political problems that it has today, and that the normal course of history will take over, and that Russia and Germany will once again live together in peaceful cooperation, peaceful coexistence on the European continent.
Thank you very much. That is giving us a lot of courage. You're lifting our hearts. Thank you very much. Would Ray or Helga like to add to that?
I would like to also add that Russia is not alone, but is now firmly integrated into the BRICS. The BRICS now consist of 22 nations, and many others also want to become members. The Global South today represents 85% of humanity, and that is by far the global majority. If Germany and the other European nations decide to cooperate with the BRICS, I know 100% that arms will be opened wide. And that is also the only chance we have in Germany to regain our sovereignty. And I think J.D. Vance's speech yesterday really created an opening that basically now, thanks to this new situation in America, we can also emphasize our own interests in Europe much more strongly. That is why the general mood is absolutely yes to your question. Thank you very much, Helga.
Grüß Gott, allen Münchner, allen Bayern.
Hello to all the people of Munich, the Bavarians, and the whole world. I have to add that Russia is not a threat. I'm thinking of not only peace, but also of freedom. Yes. I'm thinking of also Sophie Scholl, who was killed in Munich. In the year 1942, Sophie played from the White Rose Society a song on her flute. Which song? Thoughts Are Free. She played it in front of the prison where her father was imprisoned because he had called Hitler a scourge of God. And she was killed. I'm thinking of this song, Thoughts Are Free. And we together sing.
Zusammen. Die Gedanken sind frei, wer soll sie erraten? Fliegen vorbei wie nächtlichen Schatten. Kein Mensch wird sie wissen, kein Jäger erschießen mit Pulver und Blei. Die Gedanken sind frei.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Ray McGovern.
So that was a very beautiful moment. You heard the great appreciation when Ray McGovern, former CIA analyst and fighter for peace, co-founder of the Veteran Intelligence Professionals for Sanity, or VIPS, when he spoke in the native tongue of Germany and presented to them a beautiful piece of music, Die Gedanken sind frei, Thoughts Are Free, and asked that the crowd at this rally sing with him. And it's especially beautiful. I think sometimes peace rallies sometimes play music that's perhaps not the most beautiful, as though expressing rage would be the way to achieve peace. But this was a different approach, and the people in the crowd sang along. They sang along with Ray. So we're going to, one other point on that, as I understand from Helga Zepp-LaRouche, is it can be extremely important to learn the most beautiful things from another nation, perhaps the poetry, the music, the paintings, the history. When you can relate to another nation with that in your thought, relate to them on where they're the best, taking into account the other sides as well, but you can see the beauty and the potential of the other. So we're going to leave you with a musical offering, which is this very piece, Die Gedanken Sind Frei, sung by myself and my friends Jen and Milena a few months ago. You can see the translation of the words on the screen. And so thank you again, and we will see you next week.
Die Gedanken sind frei, wer kann sie erraten? Sie fliegen vorbei, wie nächtliche Schatten. Kein Mensch kann sie wissen, kein Jäger erschießen, mit Pulver und Blei. Die Gedanken sind frei. Ich denke, was ich will und was mich bedünket, doch alles in der Still und wie es sich schicket, mein Wunsch und Begehren kann niemand verwehren, es bleibe dabei, die Gedanken sind frei. Und